I thought we got off to an uncharacteristically slow start tonight offensively. But what's great about coaching this team, really, there's two things that we focused on in the locker room. One is that we can defend. Right? And so when you can hold a team to 28 points, when you can hold a team to 20% shooting, and look, this wasn't just a fluke tonight. That's what we've been doing game in and game out. And this team knows they can defend. Well, when you can defend, you're going to stay around in games. And the other thing is that they believe in each other and they believe in themselves. And so when you're frustrated, when we turn the ball over like 5 times in the first few minutes, we haven't even scored a point yet. All right? A lot of teams would start pointing the fingers or start trying to save the day themselves, or I got to get mine, or none of those things happen on this basketball team. We make a couple subs, people give us some energy, right? We get going in transition, right? And things start happening for us. Right? Obviously, the offensive game comes along, and we keep ourselves playing defense, and that adds up to a big win. So again, really, really proud of this team. They're really fun to coach.
So I noticed you did have a lot of kind of rapid substitutions there for the first 6 or 7 minutes. Is that something that is more characteristic of this game, or is that something you've been doing?
I think it's something that's been characteristic of this team. And again, the woman sitting to my left here, here's a returning starter from last year, a kid who's made huge shots in big ACC games. And I actually came to her early in the season. I said, Em, I think you're going to be a great spark plug for us, and I want to know how you feel about, being our sixth player, being somebody who comes off the bench and, just gives us that energy. And you saw her, she's not only is she an unbelievable shooter, but she had 4 assists and 2 turnovers tonight. She gets her hand on every ball. She leads us in steals. She had a great job rebounding. She had 9 rebounds tonight, led us in rebounding. And to be able to bring players like Emilee Daley off the bench, what a gift to a coach. So it's absolutely something that defines this team. I think we do have depth, and it makes my job a lot easier.
So you mentioned the defense being pretty strong tonight, held them to a low percentage all game. Actually, no fouls out there. So what did you think of them specifically out there? What did you think they were doing well?
And what did you think about the defense?
I think that's like one of the main reasons why we were able to get back into the game. We shut them down, and they obviously didn't shoot well, but that's because we knew our scout, played them well, and had hands up and boxed out.
Hands up and box out.
Yeah.
Yep, hands up and box out. So I mean, as Em said, this team has bought into defense, and it's something. When Em came to us, that was a fight that we used to have about getting in a stance and getting nasty, and now she's smiling about it, right? And it's and it's fun to do that, and it's also a team thing. Is that I don't expect Emilee to be able to just lock down a player by herself, but if she can do her job, and Kaylee does her job, and Nicole does her job, and Katie does, then you know what? It adds up to the defense, the kind of defense we're playing. And these guys have really bought into being there for each other, and it's fun to watch.
So another question for you, Emilee. So the ball movement looks pretty great out there tonight. You guys kind of get those leading passes, backdoor cuts, getting those open shots in the corners. Is that something you guys have been pushing more, like in practice, trying to get those?
Well, a lot of it has to do with our transition. We've been working on that a lot in practice, I think, and I think it's also a fact of we're just slowing down and letting the game come to us rather than forcing things. And, I mean, a lot of it has to do with our point guard play. It's been really, really good lately, and they've just been looking up and waiting for things rather than just trying to speed things up and force it. We're playing, like, our pace rather than trying to let the other team dictate our pace.
And you're like a hybrid player now, the small forward kind of shooting guard as well. Just talk about your game as it translated over last season. You kind of were that dominant scorer, kind of creating momentum. Now this year you're coming off the bench, but again, how's that translate as a player for you, knowing your role and knowing what this team needs from you to do?
Actually, I think it's given me more confidence because now I'm not just a one. I don't know what the word is.
One-dimensional?
That one-dimensional player. Like, I don't just shoot threes. Not that I prefer to post up and play with my back to the basket, but I'm more confident doing that and, like, dishing it out. So I feel like I'm more dynamic, and it's just giving me more confidence.
You've helped your coach get to the best start of his career here at BC, 7-1. I know he won't talk a lot about what that means to him, but for you guys, what's that mean to you?
Oh, it's probably the greatest feeling ever to know that your team's winning and off to the greatest start, and it's probably going to be something really vital when we go into ACC play, knowing that we can compete with good teams. We've beaten high-level competition, and it's just going to power through because we're going to have confidence.
Coach, just one more question.
Sure.
Just a lot of young players on this team, and
Yeah.
they seem like they're coming off in units and playing really well together. Is there a lot of chemistry there with those younger players, just hanging out together, practicing together?
Yeah, and you have to give the young players credit. Mariela Fasula and Steph Jones are freshmen, but if you walked in the locker room, you wouldn't know. Those are the two goofballs, right? Those are the ones that, if you follow them on Instagram or anything like that, you see that, they make it easy for the upperclassmen to connect with them, and the upperclassmen have also embraced the younger players. But you're right, we've got a freshman and a sophomore playing point guard. We've got a freshman and a sophomore playing center. Again, our defensive player, Ella Awaz-Bajo, is a freshman. We've got a lot of young players, but then we also have some players and a great mix of the Emilee Daleys who have been through the wars, right? And she's learned a lot of those lessons, and she's able to pass those on to the younger players, and then they listen. And it's when you see all that starting to mix, it really that's when it gets fun. And as you heard the joy in her voice of like, hey, I'll do whatever it takes to win. And as you start doing that, it's amazing that your personal game gets better and your teammates' game gets better. And so again, it's fun to see them really embracing that.
Coach, I am going to press you on the hot stuff so far.
Okay.
How you think the team has been kind of going so far in a general sense and overall? It's definitely improving over last year.
Sure.
So how do you see that coming up so far?
Well, look, I know it's cliche, but we really do look at it one game at a time. Looking back, we had a stretch where we were kind of having to find ourselves with 4 games. We had 2 on the road at BU and at Providence, right, where we were able to beat a couple teams, well on the road. We had 2 tough home games against Holy Cross and Maine, who may go out and win their conferences and be NCAA teams. And then the real test came when we went down to the Bahamas and we played Utah, and then we played Oklahoma, who's a top 20 team, and then we went to the ACC Big Ten Challenge on the road at Purdue, and were able to win two of those games, and felt like we could have won the Oklahoma game. We had a 1-point lead at the end of the third quarter, and felt like we gave it away with a couple lazy plays, and Oklahoma, was able to get themselves going a little bit. So this team has confidence, and now again coming back home for the month of December, we're here. We've got finals week, but again, these guys they practice well, and I'll tell you, when you practice well, that's when you see consistency of the games as well. And so again, it's a process. They're committed to the process. I'm committed to the process, and it's just fun to finally see it actually starting to come together. Great. We appreciate your coverage, and thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Go Eagles.